Hello everybody and welcome back, and let us continue with our Python basics. In this video we will cover the if loop. Now if loop is basically the most simple one, I would say. It basically just does the same as it says, so if something then do that and else do something else. So I will explain it a little bit better, don't worry. For now on, let us open up our second program and let us see how we can actually use the if loop. So for that, first of all, let's open the interpreter. So just type here Python and you will see this. Let's say we want to write the most simple if statement that we can write. So for example, a equals 3. This is simple to understand. We stored value of 3 into a. And then if a equals 3, then two dots. Now what this basically does, the two equal sign checks if the value of a is 3. So if a really is 3, you can't really specify just 1% sign. It will not work, since 1% sign means that you are actually giving the value of 3 to a. You need to specify 2 equal sign in order to perform a check on a if a really is 3. So if a equals 3, we will do what? We will actually print a is 3. So we print a is 3. And then we can add or let's actually just leave it on this, so we can see if a equals 3, print a is 3. And as we can see, it printed out a is 3. But let's actually switch it up, so if a equals 4, print a is 4. And if we press twice enter, you can see it didn't print out anything, since a isn't 4. We specified a to be 3 in our variable specification. So this is the most simple use of if statement. What you can do is basically make an if-else statement which will actually perform an action if a equals 4, and it will perform a different action if a isn't equal 4. So let me actually clear the screen so we can do that. So os.system clear. Oops. And let's actually do the same thing. So a equals, for example, now 5. So we have a to be set to 5, and right now we want to write our first if-else statement. So if a equals 5, we here tab it and print, then we want to print a is 5. So this will only be printed out if a really is 5. And what you want to do right here, else, and then two dot sign, and then enter once again, tab, print a isn't 5. A is some different number, for example. And press enter, and now if you press enter second time, whoops, you will see that we get a is 5 printed out, since that is true. A really is 5, and it didn't even consider this statement since it got this one to be true. So if a equals 5, print a is 5, and we got printed out a equal or a is 5. Now in the syntax wise, you need to make sure to add after if statement and also after else statement, you need to add these two dots right here, since it will not work if you do not add that. So make sure to double check that before you run your program. And let's actually run our our second program as a nano window, so as our real program and not a program in interpreter or Python interpreter. So ls, we have our first program, and let's type python 2.py, which is our second program. As we remember our previous video, we need to specify the path to Python, so user bin python. And after this we can actually run our code. So let's actually run a code that will check out if number is odd or even, which is simple. We will use an if-else statement. So let's actually type here number 1, which is our, or actually just one number. We need only one number. And let's use the input, raw input function, which will give our users of code a choice to specify any number. So enter any number two dots, closed double quotes, then we close two brackets right here, and let's write an if-else statement right here. So what we want to do is if, open up our brackets, number module 2, now this % sign stands for module. Basically we use this in order to check out if our number is even or if it is odd, if it has any remainings after the division. So this sign right here, make sure to remember that this sign is module. We will not be using it that much, but it's still a good thing to know. And then equals 0, so if the remain is 0, then we need to specify that the number is even. If it is not 0, the number will be odd. So if we just type here two dots, so remember to put these two dots right here, enter, and then tab it. So always tab it in order to make sure that your code looks a little bit prettier. And in Python, I believe you cannot really write an if statement under the line in the same order. You need to tab it in so it knows, so the Python knows that this belongs to the if statement. So right here we want to print number is even. And we want to specify here else, which will happen in any other cases that the number isn't even, which is the only case that the number is odd. So we want to print else, print number is odd, and then we close the double quotes. So here we can see this is a simple program as well. So we perform the module and then we actually print if number is even or if number is odd. So let's Control O this, enter, Control X. Let's make the program to be executable with this command, so python2.py. And right now we can see it's executable, and let's run it. Here we ask for a number, we specify 2, it will say number is even. If we just type here Python, if we run once again and specify 3, it will say number is odd, which is correct. So that would be a simple use of a Python 3 script, or pardon me, of a Python 2 script with the if-else statement. Now there is also another thing that you should know, which also we will use, is the elif statement, which basically allows you to specify multiple statements and not just two. So let's edit our code. Now let's actually write a different code where we will have 3 different statements. So let's delete these 2 statements right here. We will leave the number to be here as a variable, and we will leave the user to specify which number it will be. So let's see, if number, let's specify open brackets, if number equals to 0, type here, or print number, or given number is 0. And then we basically just go into the next statement. The next statement will be elif, and then we need to specify another statement right here, elif. So elif number is bigger than 0, then again 2 dots, print given number is positive. And then we close this double quotes. And then the last statement will just be else. So in any other cases, any other cases would be the cases where number is not bigger than 0 and when number is not equal to 0. So any other case would be print given number is negative. And then we close the double quotes. So Control O to save, enter, Control X to exit, and you will see that our program is still executable even though we edited it, so we can actually run it right away. So Python 2, enter any number, let's add 3, it will say given number is positive. If we run it again, give it -2, given number is negative. So since -2 is a negative number, and then once again 0, given number is 0. So you can specify as many elif statements as you want. So for example, if you need to cover 5 different statements you would be specifying first in the if, the next 3 in the elif, and the last one in else statement. Make sure to have the 2 dots at the end of each ones, and make sure to specify these statements in given brackets. It is easier. You can also do it without them, but it is a good practice to actually specify them in the brackets. So that would be about it for this for this if statement video. We will cover the for statement in the next video, and I hope I see you there. Bye.